You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to the program. I am joined now by Arkansas Supreme Court Justice Barbara Webb. Good to see you as always.
Good morning.
I know, twice in the same week.
I know.
We got to see each other up in Northwest Arkansas at
did.
our Northwest Arkansas Business Journal 40 Under 40 event. Your niece
I'm very proud of my niece.
was a big winner.
She is. She's a civil engineer, works up in the Northwest. I think to some extent designing roundabouts. I kid her about that, but she does a great job, and she's very talented.
Well,
Unfortunately, she had COVID and couldn't come to
I
lunch.
know. She got diagnosed that morning. That was going to be, she would have been there in person otherwise.
But she's doing better now. So.
Good. All right, you're running for the Chief Justice spot of the Arkansas Supreme Court,
I am.
currently held by Justice John Dan Kemp. Why are you running for this office?
Well, I feel like my career path has led me to this opportunity. From going from being a courtroom attorney in private practice to then being a prosecuting attorney in the courtroom, and then to coming on the court as a Supreme Court justice. I just feel like the next step or the right step for me where I can give back is to be Chief Justice.
You have two other opponents in this race. They happen to be on the court as well. Before I ask you the awkward question about that, but just tell me, why do you think you're more qualified than your two opponents?
Well, as I said, I have been, I've been practicing for over 4 decades. I know I'm not that old, but no, I'm just kidding. Over 4 decades in all the courtrooms across the state of Arkansas. I've done all the type of cases and different cases that comes before the Supreme Court, and I feel like that experience, I'm the one candidate in the race that has been across the state in different counties, in different courts, doing different kinds of law, and I can bring my experience of that to the court.
I just have to ask this question because I didn't know it necessarily when I interviewed the other two candidates in the race, which is Justice Rhonda Wood and Justice Karen Baker. Is it going to be, one of y'all is going to win, and the other two are still going to be on the court. What does that do to office dynamics a little bit? Do y'all talk to each other pretty cordially? It's kind of an interesting situation. Everybody's running for class president, but only one of us can win.
Well, that's a good comparison. But we have a good collegiate relationship. Of course, we've been in summer recess since some of these announcements have been made, but I think that we respect each other for the attributes we each bring to the court. And I don't think it's surprised anyone that the three of us got in the race.
Well, if no one else gets in, we're definitely going to have our first elected female Supreme Court justice.
Correct.
Betty Dickey was the first
Appointed.
female Chief Justice appointed by then Governor Mike Huckabee. So tell me about some things that you hope to achieve. You clearly would have some ambition and reason for wanting to be Chief Justice, which has a lot of managerial duties and administrative duties as well.
Right, and that's another thing I bring to this race is that I've been a CEO of a state agency, and I've managed personnel and budgets, and I've been a chief judge at the workers' comp system, so I've dealt with helping manage other judges, and so I bring that experience of management, hands-on experience of management. And I feel like I was successful in both aspects of that. So I'm looking forward to, I think we're the court after COVID, and of course, it came on pretty strong, and right after I came on the court, we had to basically, get ready, and technology is our friend. We've learned that through COVID, that we can't resist new technology, and we have to move the court forward for a new generation that is very comfortable with technology. And that's where I see the next Chief Justice, or my role is helping move the court forward to embrace technology, to make sure that we are having court, that people have access to the courts, that we can provide that maybe in a more affordable way because of technology.
Give me an example or two of what you're talking about there. You're talking about being able to allow video testimony by Zoom, which I know a lot of courtrooms did that, but I mean, there are other kind of things. But what does it mean to say you want to advance the technology and use it? Give me an example or two.
Well, when I was prosecutor, I came in behind with a big backlog of cases. And I believe, as Martin Luther King said, justice delayed is justice denied. So I think we have to have a good case management system in place, and the court is working towards that right now, but it's at the very beginnings of that. And designing a comprehensive court management system where the circuit courts and the district courts and all the specialty courts, all that data is being collected into a system, and that brings accountability to the system, it brings transparency to the system, and it helps people have access to information they need. Another thing that we're doing is putting kiosks at every courthouse in the state where you or someone else that might want to know about a case can go to the kiosk and look up that case and actually download forms that if you want to file a will or a divorce and you can't afford an attorney, you can get the form that's been approved by the Arkansas courts and file your own. At least you might need an attorney if you get into some complicated things,
Sure,
but if it's a basic procedure or even to work with like adoptions and things like that.
Okay.
So it's what we call access to justice, and we do that in a way to make sure that everyone does have the right to justice and equal justice.
Justice Wood, when she was on the program, talked about an idea of using magistrates to kind of accelerate this justice in a quicker way. Is that something you would be supportive of? And I was unclear because she kind of brought it up in the conversation, but I mean, the Constitution already allows for that, I believe, correct?
I believe there is provisions in Amendment 80 that was passed by the voters of Arkansas that allows the court the Chief Justice and the court to allow for some retired judges and other judges to come and to be appointed as special judges in certain cases. And I think the courts use that a time or two, maybe during some of the Lakeview cases.
All right, last question for you. This speaks a little bit more to judicial elections in general here. How judges are very limited in what they can talk about and what they can say, and there's a good reason for that. And I want you to explain a little bit of that philosophically and legally or ethically. But should judges be able to do more, say more? Where do you feel like the boundaries kind of are on what a judge can and can't do when they're campaigning for office to let people know more about what type of Chief Justice they would be?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I am the only candidate in the race that has traveled to all 75 counties in my last election and talked to people and heard what they said they want in a Chief Justice and what they want in the court. And they want justices that are responsive to the people, and they want to know where the justice stands and what you can't use I know we can't use our political beliefs, but every judge has certain value systems and certain beliefs, and they want to know where those judges believe, what their beliefs are. And they also, I think, want to know that the judges are there for the right reasons and that they're not going to try to make law. They're going to interpret the Constitution and apply the Constitution as it was written and originally intended to be. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
well, no. You're giving me some insight there. I mean, I've often thought that our judiciary committees at the state legislature, for instance, could interview judges and talk about what's your approach to precedent and how do you feel about making new case law when there isn't anything. I mean, I think there's some things philosophically that judges could talk about that they never get a chance to because it's really not a forum to do that. I just don't know where the boundaries are on that.
Well, we do have cases of first impression, and we do have cases in which prior decisions bind us to some extent if we feel like they were correctly decided and stare decisis should apply. But we do, some of the justices do go and meet with the judiciary committees and talk to them about those issues. I mean, that does take place already. So
all I've ever seen at the state legislature with the justices up there is the Chief Justice getting browbeat by the legislators over their budget. So
well,
if you're elected, you get to do that as well.
I spent some time at the legislature at workers' comp, and browbeating is a good description.
Yes, I think that's the way to describe it. Justice Webb, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. Best of luck in your campaign.
Well, thank you.
All right. we're back with more right after this.